Begin with a boss fight from Final Fantasy XVI, move to a novel from the 50s, then a computer indie game that came out this year, then a second indie game, then a brief reflection on missile defense, then move to a book about blowing up a pipeline, and eventually produce a reflection on all the video essays you ever made. What kind of a way to structure a video essay is that? Jacob Geller has an interesting way to organize video essays. Often Geller's videos are not stories nor are they arguments. Instead, they bring together various cultural artifacts and their discussion as a way to bring forward a certain mood or present a certain emotional state. I would call this kind of structure the lyrical video essay. Someone else might call it a vibes video. I'll try to explain what this means and why it matters for understanding and creating video essays. Geller, of course, is not the only one to use this structure. Hi, I'm David. Welcome to YouTube Literary Analysis, a series where we explore videos more closely as works of YouTube art. Jacob Geller is a video game critic and video essays. His videos are often about video games. Some of his videos are not about video games, but veer away from this subject and address other topics like school shootings and the fear of cold. Not all of his video essays have the lyrical form I am talking about, but many do. His, what should I call it, a heartfelt, soulful, earnest, sometimes pleading tone of voice is especially suited for this kind of structure. I am using Geller's work because he is one of the best and most consistent creators to use this kind of structure. So where do I take this phrase, lyrical? From lyrical poems. In lyrical poems, often we call them just poems. The connection between images, expressions, and descriptions is governed by the plan to bring forward a kind of emotion or circumstance that the poet would like to create for the reader. Thus, the organizing principle is not the sequence and causality of the events as it is in a narrative. And the organizing principle is not the logical connection between ideas in a way that would advance your argument as it would be in an expository text. The most convincing way to organize the information is not the issue here. Rather, in a lyrical poem, a lyrical text, a lyrical video, the elements are arranged in a way that creates and modifies the emotions that are at its center. Most video essays, indeed, are either narratives or arguments. After an intro, the essayist will usually tell us about the events in the order they happened, or present an argument in a form that will seem most convincing. For instance, starting with the acceptable premise and then moving on from there. Lyrical video essays work differently. They are built differently. They will juxtapose images, sounds, ideas, stories, and analysis of works of art in a way that builds an emotion or state of mind. This is all pretty abstract. Let's take a video by Jacob Geller as an example, and things should be clearer. Art in the pre-apocalypse is a good example, even if it is not the most extreme example. The video circles around what it is like to live through and react artistically to a time when the world is about to end, pre-apocalypse. Geller is not really posing an argument about how one ought to react, but rather, by and large, he tries to express and explore what it feels like to live in such a time. He starts with a specific moment from Final Fantasy XVI. The hero engages in a boss fight against a powerful dragon. The enemy unleashes a force and the hero says, "He would burn the world." This, Geller tells us, is a pre-apocalyptic moment. But the game does not linger on it just as many other narratives about saving the world do not linger on what would have happened if the world wasn't saved. There's an argument here about how specific texts and genres operate, but there's also, more importantly, an emotional core to this segment. The emotional core is it is difficult to linger on the idea of the pre-apocalypse. It is difficult not to let the sense of ending take over once you let it in. From this, Geller moves with no explicit logical connection into the next section of the video. Instead of saying this leads us to examine X and Y, Geller cuts to some black and white footage and then...
In 1957, Neville Shute published On the Beach.
Instead of connecting sections, he puts them side by side for the viewer to connect. We can see the same kind of non-transition in the next two sections. The sections on the Beach and Season, A Letter to the Future explore a sense of calm at the face of an apocalypse. Once it is inevitable, you have nothing to do but resign to it. However, towards the end of the Season section, Geller's tone of voice changes. He is dismayed.
Do your best to remember with your scrapbook, because everything else will be washed away, and that's the price of progress. On the Beach's lack of conflict is because we know there's no after, not for humans anyway. It is a 300-page funeral procession. But in Season, Estelle is being actively denied a future by other living, decision-making humans in the plot.
Mid-question, Geller cuts to the next section, like this.
Where is her anger at being forced to exist in the pre-apocalypse? Where's her rage? Where's...
The cut to the new subject occurs in conjunction with the shift of emotion. In other words, Geller's emotion leads to a new section that will linger on this emotion. The game Umurangi Generation is a much more angry text than previous ones. Geller uses its analysis to explore this new set of emotions, indignation and rage. You can hear the anger in the tone of Geller's voice, but also in the text he explores with its very different red, gray, and neon color palette and musical score. I hope you get the idea. The Lyrical video essays puts together its analyses and descriptions and narratives in a manner that is led by similarity and contrast in tone and affect, in emotion. It's important to say that the essay does not remain in the same tone throughout, but rather builds an emotional spectrum to go through. It does so with the tools that other video essays use to make an argument or tell a story: talking head footage, B-roll, tone of voice, music, cultural analysis, and smaller narratives, both historical and personal. In the final section of Geller's video, he draws the strands together.
I find it so easy to think poetically of the world as one giant beach, one in which all of us stand and wait for the clouds of radiation to roll in. I wander through the world, attempting to capture what feels valuable, trying to record the things I hope to pass on. All the art I create is, in one way or another, art about the pre-apocalypse. I look into the future, and one fate seems so much likelier than all others. This is the great trial of being alive right now. It is necessary for all of us to view ourselves accurately in the pre-apocalypse. And yet, because of this, it is also absolutely vital to imagine and work and dream of a world that is different.
Notice how he uses visuals from the previous sections, but cut into smaller bits, using what we already learned and felt to create a much faster-paced juxtaposition. Through this recap of lyrical transformations, he moves again from resignation to anger to hope that the apocalypse might be averted. Oscar Wilde wrote that criticism is the only reliable form of autobiography. The lyrical video essay is a continuation of this idea because through engaging with other texts, it allows us to enter its creator's emotional and intellectual inner life. So let me know what you think I missed, what I got right, what I got wrong. Let me know if you have any questions about what I said. As always, if you think I made something simple more complicated, that's fine. Sometimes that's my job too. Thank you for listening.